This is the brief homily for the 31st of January. Please read the readings before listening to the homily. God kept his promise made through Moses. From Joshua through to John the Baptist, from time to time he sent prophets to speak in his name. And the task of the prophet was to interpret the current events of his day from God's point of view and to speak truth to power. Now that required perseverance, integrity and courage. There were those who would try to suborn or intimidate the prophet into saying things that suited them instead of being from God. There's a conversation recorded in the Bible from about 700 years before Jesus was born, where Amos the prophet was told at Bethel, "This is the national temple, the royal sanctuary. Go away, do your prophesying somewhere else." Because there were also false prophets, as Moses had warned. Again and again through history, tyrants and dictators and totalitarian parties have either tried to silence the voice of religion or to twist religion to their own end. Suborning or intimidating religious leaders into simply parroting government policy, or even going so far as to set up a national church under the direct control of the government to broadcast from pulpits government policy and say, "And this is what God wants." In this great catalogue of prophets, there are greater ones and lesser. There are those who succeeded more than others in faithfulness to their mission, but none of them spoke with the authority that synagogue congregation recognized in Jesus. All of the prophets were, to the best of their ability, trying to speak on behalf of God. But Jesus is God made man, speaking for himself. They asked themselves what it all meant. Because we know the Word was made flesh, we can answer that question. Now, if you're thinking, well, that's nice, but how does it affect the way I live my life? In our baptism, we were given a share of the prophetic ministry. We have to grow into that. Now, at times that might mean, for example, standing up to workplace bullying, and that will earn us hostility. It can mean silent prophecy if we've fallen into bad company by refusing to join in with gossip and character assassination. That too might mean we will be the next target of their malicious tongues, but sometimes the stakes are even higher. Archbishop Oscar Romero spoke out about the death squads the government in El Salvador were using to silence dissent. Sister Dorothy Stang spoke out against the criminal gangs who were terrorizing indigenous peoples in the Amazonian rainforest and driving them off the land so logging companies could come in. Each of those paid with their life, and they half expected it or even fully expected it. They knew and accepted that was the risk of being faithful to their prophetic ministry. Now, how much harder would that have been for them if they'd have each had a spouse and children? If they knew it was not just their lives. The people they were speaking out against were quite skilled in intimidating people into silence by reminding them what they had done to the spouses and the children of anyone who had crossed them. Archbishop Oscar, Sister Dorothy, knew it was only their lives on the line. In that second reading, St. Paul isn't praising celibacy because he thinks marriage is bad. No, marriage is a gift from God. It's a vocation between Christians. It's a sacrament. But there are times when particular people have a vocation that, if they live it out in its fullest, being also committed to a marriage is going to make it very hard. Even in countries where they have put on a show for the world of pretending to have religious freedom, there are stories told of parents, one of whom is a pastor in a church, having to have a talk with their child at some point as the child grows up to say, your dreams of being an engineer or an architect or a doctor or of getting an apprenticeship will never happen because your parent is a pastor, and in this country that has sealed your fate. Some of those children found new homes and the careers they dreamed of outside the countries they were brought up in, but not all of them. As we reflect on these readings, we see that the married life and the celibate vocation each have their place in God's plan, and we are challenged that whenever opportunities come our way to live up to our prophetic calling, we do that. We live up to it. We speak out. Thank you for making it all the way to the end. The homily you've just listened to is longer than the 5-minute limit that I've set so far. So this is a bit of an experiment. If you're happy for the Sunday homily sometimes to go beyond 5 minutes, then use the like button and write something in the comments. Also, if you think, no, you should keep it to 5 minutes or less, write that in the comments as well. It'll be great to see what people think.